Hey beauty lovers and fellow entrepreneurs, I'm Yegi, the owner and founder of Yegi Beauty. Within 5 years of being my own boss, I was able to grow Yegi Beauty into a multi-million-dollar company. This podcast is where I share what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in the beauty industry. Hello everybody, welcome back. Today's podcast is going to be about exponential growth. Now, why would we care about exponential growth when we are in business or even for our lives? Why do we want to think about exponential growth? Until recently, I actually did not think about exponential growth at all. Everything in my head was always very linear. And then I realized that most humans, we naturally think about linear growth and not exponential growth. We don't realize it unless someone points it out, just like hopefully I'm doing for you right now. However, it is very important to understand that certain things grow exponentially and not linearly. So what is the difference between linear and exponential growth? So linear would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes step by step. And exponential, it's basically going to be doubling each time. So it'll be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So you see with each step, these numbers are dramatically jumping up. And initially, you don't see that much of a jump because it goes from 1 to 2, but after a few steps, it goes from 16 to 32. And then after that, it's going to be at 64. So you see how the little jumps, because it's doubling every time, is growing at a much faster rate compared to a linear growth. Keeping that in mind, we want to know, okay, in what scenarios does exponential growth apply compared to linear growth, and why is it important? For this episode, I was inspired by Tony Robbins' book called Money. The last chapter talks about technology, science, how fast it's growing, and what we can expect in the future. And it did really help me realize the power of exponential growth and how I can think about it and apply it in my business or my life to use it as motivation in a way. And some things that we can think about investing in and looking far down the future. I want to read this quote by Peter Diamandis from the Tony Robbins book I mentioned, Money. I think it's such an amazing metaphor. I can't say it any better, so I need to just read it for you guys. And it says, if I say to you, take 30 linear steps, normally you're going to end up about 30 meters away. But if I say to you, instead of taking 30 linear steps, take 30 exponential steps, how far will you go? Think about it. What's the first number you'll think? I bet you it's not what you think. His quote continues, how about 1,000,000 meters? Do you see the power of exponential growth? Compared to linear, that would be 30 meters away. Compared to exponential, they'll be about 1,000,000 meters away. If that doesn't put exponential growth into perspective for you, how about another quote by Ray Kurzweil? Exponential growth is not dramatic at first. You're doubling these tiny little numbers. It looks like nothing is happening, but by the time you get to 1%, you're only 7 doublings away from 100%. How about that? So it may take you 20 years to get 1% of a project done. But after that, it's only going to take 7 more steps or 7 more doublings for you to finish the rest of the 99% of that project. And this has been proven. I mean, it's science and math. How crazy is that? So this made me think about my own growth or my own projects within my company and how to really put things in perspective when we're working on changing ourselves, improving ourselves, or working on new projects and trying new things out and completing that first 1%. Initially, it may seem like we haven't gone far enough or we haven't done enough when only 1% of a project is done. In my opinion, this is my theory after learning all of this, I think that 1%, the way we apply it, is actually the planning phase of having a detailed, organized plan of our project. And that's, I think, initially the way I want to apply this theory into my own projects within my own business. And I suggest for you to do it is take the time to fully, in a detailed way, plan out your project, your business plan, whatever you're working on. The way I'm going to initially apply exponential growth into my way of thinking in business is by not being so hard on myself in the beginning when I'm starting something new. Because I know that initially for me to get that 1% completed or finish a 1% of the project, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time to see that 1% difference. And then after that, the growth is going to be exponential and I'm going to start seeing results much quicker. And the longer I stick to it, the harder I go at it, the easier and faster the rest of the 99% is going to get completed. So that is my main takeaway in business for exponential growth and for myself, to basically not give up and not be so hard on myself when I'm working so hard and barely seeing a change in the beginning. The key factor is to stick to it and know that it is going to get easier and faster progress within time. Because remember, it could take you cajillion tiny little steps to get that 1% done, but after that, it's only 7 additional doubling for you to be at 100%. And if you're a spiritual type of person and not a science type of person, I'm kind of both. The way I like to think about it too, about not giving up and going hard too, it's like almost like God or the universe or whatever spiritual world you believe in is testing you that you're not going to give up in the beginning. So it has to be super hard for you to get through that phase and prove to yourself and everybody else that this is really something you want in order for you to fly the rest of the way or get easier as you go. Since this podcast was inspired by Tony Robbins' book Money, and that's initially where this exponential growth factor sparked my brain and how I could tie it into my own life and business, I do want to talk about the things that he mentioned about technology and science with exponential growth and how mind-blowing it is and it's going to be. So I'm going to talk about it. Have you guys noticed how quickly technology is growing? And again, this is the magic of exponential growth. Initially, when technology started advancing, we saw very small change throughout the years. And now with the power exponential growth, it's growing at a rate of, speed of light. I don't know what's fast, but it's growing really fast. And it's so exciting to think about it. Actually, they predict that computers are going to be part of us in about 2045. So what is that? Like 23 years from this point on? That's like my child's gonna be a computer. That's how crazy it's gonna be. It's really, or the computers are gonna be as smart or be part of us by then. This is the prediction. And it is not a prediction just based off of wishful thinking and science fiction. It really is science and advancing, and when you do the math with exponential growth and how things are going to develop, that's where we're headed, you guys. So what are we doing? Should we be scared? Should we be excited? Well, that's up to you, but for me, I'm very excited about how advanced and how quickly and how smart we're becoming with the help of computers as well, because these things can help us live longer, happier, healthier. It can help us develop things like organs without having to do crazy transplants. It can help us alter DNA and get rid of diseases and sicknesses and even cure cancer. But what does all this mean? Even if we had all this technology, do we want it? What do we do with our lives if everything could be so easy and easily reproduced? Well, let me not get ahead of myself and get too excited and babble on and go in many different directions with it. Let me slow down and give some examples that I learned. If we know that artificial intelligence is going to be smarter than us or part of us in about 20-something years, how do we apply that? What do we do with that? Do we invest in companies that are doing high research and investing in artificial intelligence, what would I do? I would invest in those companies and be like, let me be part of this transition. That's the future. Let's get rich on it. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would definitely not fear it. I think it's part of our future and it's part of what's coming. There's no way around it. There has been so many big changes in the world that not everybody, but that some people were scared of, or the general public was scared of as things develop and evolved. Even the internet age, everything changed so dramatically. But it's fine. We're all fine right now. So that's all gonna keep happening with evolution and evolving and all. I don't know if I'm making sense, but there's no way of running from change. I guess that's what I want to say. So instead of fearing it, I'm gonna embrace it and see how I can be one step ahead of the average person to take advantage of it, right? So again, since this is a podcast related to how we can grow and have a richer life with fulfillment and, financially and everything else, that's how I want to tie it in and point it out so you guys can think about these things and possibly look into it and do more research and see where there's opportunity for you to invest in, or for you to, maybe gear your business towards that direction to make sure that you're going to be one of the first people to do things the future way, however you would want to apply it. But again, this last part of the podcast is just some food for thought to get all of us thinking. I'm still mind blown thinking about all of these. I don't have an exact plan what I'm going to do with this information yet, but it is in my to-do list to do more research and figure out how can I use this information to better my life or plan for the future. The second thing I want to point out is how advanced our science technology is in regards to growing food. In the very near future, we will have the technology to grow food without slaughtering animals, without having negative impact on our environment, which are two very huge things that we care about. But how do we feel about this? Will we eat fully artificial food? Like meat that's made in a lab, but it tastes exactly the same, so who cares? Will we need less land? Do we not need to figure out a way to go to a different planet, because then we're not going to ruin our environment and planet? What's going to happen, right? So these are so interesting things to really think about the future and the exponential growth of technology and science and where we may be even in 10, 20 years from now. And again, I personally would want to use it as an opportunity to look forward to the future, but also use it as a way to maybe think about some things that I can invest in, or even just have fun table topic discussions with my friends and family. What do you think about that? I'm very interested to see what you guys think. If you can comment or reach out to us and let us know what you think about the crazy changing future. One last thing I want to point out, again, some things to think about. It's back in 2010, Craig Venter and Juan Enriquez worked on a project and figured out that our DNA is made up of sequence of chemical bases. What the heck does that mean, right? In other words, our DNA can be expressed as a code, and codes can be altered or even created. So what does this mean? We can create, in theory, artificial life. And I don't know what else scientists are doing these days, but how crazy is that? We can literally create life. I don't know, my mind blown with all these facts. But if we can really alter things and live longer, healthier, happier, what does that mean? Do we need to make sure we find our meaning in life? I don't know, I'm like literally mind blown. So all of this information tells me that in the future, we're going to be able to live a very long, healthy life with unlimited resources. Technology and science is going to be so advanced where we can cure diseases, live longer and happier, but also we're going to be able to have everything we need, like food and clothes. We're going to be able to probably print our own everything with 3D printers at home within a second. So what does this mean? If I can get everything I want right now, am I going to be happy? Am I going to be fulfilled? What's going to be the point of living if I could literally have everything? What am I working for or towards? Right? So it's very, very interesting to think about, at least for me. And I'm a big, big, big believer on trying to live a balanced, fulfilled life, and whatever that means for each person, for them to really figure that out for themselves, or everybody to figure that out for yourselves and work towards that. Because having unlimited money and materialistic things and all this doesn't necessarily mean a full fulfilled life. So I'm going to leave you with that and a lot to think about. And I'm going to close with a quote by Tony Robbins. So success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. What we want in life is really happiness, fulfillment, and meaning. And we have to figure out what those things mean for ourselves. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.